My name is Jonathan Dunn, and I am a results leader.
You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and Chief Results Leader, Jonathan Rivera.
Yes, y'all. It's time once again for another ResultsLeader.fm. Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. So glad that you're here, and I've got a treat for your earbuds today. Mr. Jonathan Dunn is one of the founders of the Dream Leader Institute, where he helps leaders and businesses reach their greatest version of themselves. Wait till you hear this guy. He's entertaining, great storyteller. You're going to learn a lot. So let's jump in. Jonathan, welcome to the show. Great to see you, and I am stoked to be rapping with you. Are you ready to rock this thing?
Yes, I'm honored to be here with you, my great friend. Very honored to be here with you and hopefully share some information. We'll help somebody. That's always the goal, isn't it?
It is indeed. Let's help people right now with a quick win. What book have you given most as a gift?
When you start asking me the number one thing, my mind already defaults to three, but if I narrow it down, I'll call it the greatest book in the history. In fact, we have a big, extensive curriculum that we coach into organizations and individuals. And I mean, not that there's any rule, but we kind of suggested it as a mandatory reading. And that is The Noticer by Andy Andrews. That would certainly be my number one book. If you haven't read The Noticer, I can't emphasize enough to get it. It truly a life-changing book that also happens to be a true story.
The Noticer. And I like how you said it's suggested mandatory reading. I don't know if everybody caught that, but suggested mandatory reading, people. So get going. Excellent, man. So it's story time. Tell us a story of how an apparent failure set you up for later success.
No, it's crazy. I mean, I basically was beaten up, bullied my entire life. I guess that would have been 1989. My sister started dating a gentleman in the military, and he was a naval nuclear engineer. And of course, he was kind of a bulky guy, and he saw that as a senior in high school, I was 5'11", 130 pounds, soaking wet, and he taught me how to lift weights. And lifting weights really saved my life. So then in 2005, I opened my own company, which was a wellness facility where I was paying that information forward. Now, the problem was I was raised by a provider who was never around, never really offered emotional support. And then when the economy started crashing in 07 and 08, I slipped into that role, really just trying to keep a roof over our head. But I had a very young daughter at home and basically worked an 18-hour day on my birthday, nonetheless, and drove home knowing no cake, no candles, really just crushing desperation. I mean, truthfully, like homelessness was very, very imminent. Walk in the house, probably 10, 11 o'clock at night. Everyone was asleep. Right next to a foreclosure letter was a birthday card. I literally leave it on my desk, and it had these words in there. "You are the best dad in the world. We love you so much." I had a little boy at the time too. Super important, but not really a huge part of this story. And I went, holy shit. I'm doing just what my dad did, and I'm failing freaking big time. So sold a watch, loved at a pawn shop, to afford a session with this counselor guy named John, whose specialty was dads. And it was really the first time in my life I really asked for help because I did not know how to be the greatest dad in the world. And I knew I was failing. So this guy walked me through this process of becoming the greatest dad in the world. And I realized all of my clients at the time, because a lot of, what are they, like extra expenditures were getting cut off at that time. Because, it was arguably scarier in 08 than it is now. I just told everybody, I know you're scared right now. Like I'm scared. I admitted it. It was vulnerable. And I said, just pay me what you want to pay me as long as you want to keep coming. And I stayed in the process of becoming the greatest dad in the world. It turns out that same process, it could be applied to being the greatest mom in the world, the greatest friend in the world, because it's about reaching your potential as a human being. And who knew that many years later, I would read another book, which would have been second on my list, Man's Search for Meaning, that says you got to take all of the suffering in life and create meaning from it. And I took all of that suffering and I created meaning from it by forming the Dream Leader Institute. So now we go into businesses and really, teach them those same lessons along with ones I learned about surviving a down economy. It's turned out to be an amazing business that you feel great about every night when you lay down and put your head on the pillow. So arguably the biggest failure in the world, I was failing as a dad. Although my daughter, she's almost 23 now. She sends me photos of like me giving her piggy bank rides. And she goes, I love the story. And yes, you did become a better dad, but for the record, I never thought you weren't awesome. But in my own mind, man, I'm a big fan of David Goggins. And he talks about the 40% rule. And when you think you're really reaching your potential, it's basically a bunch of bullshit. You're about 40%. So I wouldn't have labeled it back then. I think I probably was a really great dad, but I knew in my own heart, I was like 40% of the potential. Like I want to get up, and stand in front of God someday, respectful of all people's faith backgrounds. I want him to give me a high 10 and go, man, you really brought that dad thing home, man. It's a great story. And I mean, it's quite frankly pretty brutal at the end of the day. I mean, we really were almost homeless. Came through it all by a very lost business art, caring about people.
What would you say is the most worthwhile investment that you have ever made?
I mean, it's really crazy. It was probably like 3 or 4 years after all that went down. There was a guy attending my wellness facility, and I really couldn't speak in cogent sentences at the time. I mean, I was one of those guys. I owned a gym, and I wasn't the prototypical like drill sergeant, trainer or anything like that. But I was fairly intense, and there was this guy attending my facility. He was working with one of my other trainers on staff, and he had really lost a lot of weight. I could always tell this guy was like a real articulate communicator, which I appreciated because a lot of my own relationships had broken down from lack of communication. So he walks over to me one night and he goes, I really love coming here to your gym, man. I thank you for starting this place. And I feel real safe here. And that was always an issue I had, was feeling unsafe in my life. So I made sure my business people felt safe. And he goes, whatever led you to starting this place anyways? So I go blabbering out this story about getting beat up, thrown into a porta potty, having it flipped over, being molested, trying to kill myself at one point, and how put it all together and open this facility to be like the Cheers bar of wellness facilities. So he's crying by the end of it, this guy. And he's a grown man, like I said, very articulate, well put together. And he goes, you need to learn how to tell that story, man. That would literally save millions of lives. I go, well, how does one learn how to tell the story?
Like a caveman.
No, I know. I wish I had like video of back in the day. And he goes, I am a member of an organization called the Toastmasters. I go, oh, is that where people learn how to toast at weddings? And he goes, no, you go there to learn how to communicate effectively and, share messages and be a leader. I went, I never had any idea this deal existed. I go, what do I need to do? He goes, there's a meeting in town. It was a Wednesday. This convo was happening. He goes, it's literally tonight. I go, all right, I'll go check it out. Is it okay if I wear my gym clothes? I mean, I didn't have an outfit. He goes, sure, it's, very welcoming atmosphere. And I went to this Toastmaster meeting and I was kind of like ignorant and I didn't know any better. I literally thought you were supposed to participate if you win. I've since seen that people don't seem to know you have to participate to improve. So they asked me some question off the top of the cuff and I answered it. It was kind of exhilarating to like speak off my cuff. And I went, ooh, I like that feeling. And they said, next week, we're having a comedy contest. You should join. And I'm like, okay. I never wrote a speech in my damn life, but I'm like, I can get up there and talk for 5 minutes. So I didn't really have any funny stories, except I used to work at this place, Bally Total Fitness. And I had to give CPR to a naked man in a shower one time who had passed out. And I'm like, that shit's pretty funny. So I get up there and I start running around the room high-fiving people. I mean, I didn't know. And I'm like, I always wanted to save a life, but I didn't want it to happen this way. I had to give CPR to a naked man in a shower. And dude, I didn't know any better. People thought it was the funniest thing they ever heard, but it was real. And it felt good to make people laugh. So I stuck with Toastmasters, and now I speak all over the place. I'm speaking at the Department of Defense in a cute little 5-sided building tomorrow. From barely being able to form a cogent sentence, I'm now going to be speaking to majors and lieutenants about how to be proper leaders. So Toastmasters is it's under $100 a year. Absolutely the best investment I've ever made. Although this is also on my desk. I have this little monkey here. See? And there, my little dog's under my desk. He's like, oh God, he's hitting the monkey thing again. That's a good investment too, because it's a reminder we're not supposed to be some idiotic wind-up monkey in our lives. And there's all these businesses out there, and they're like, could you help us get our people more engaged? And I go, all right, let me observe. And I'm like, well, the problem is you got a bunch of wind-up monkeys in there. We're not built that way. And they're like, wow, I never really considered that.
The wind-up monkey speech.
No, all the answers are really simple for what people are looking for. There's just this incredible addiction to overcomplicating everything. Hi, are you a robot? No. Well, why do you think asking a group of people to be robots is somehow a really great idea then? Because we give them a paycheck?
So think back, man. Over the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
Well, and I don't even know where I read this originally, but I was doing it unbeknownst to me. And it's this idea that systems really drive our behaviors. That quote, I don't know if it's Aristotle or Plato, that, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a series of your habits. It's something like that. And I remember growing up thinking excellence was set aside for whoever was the valedictorian and salutatorian. And it's all a bunch of bullcrap, man. If we realize systems drive behaviors and we look at our calendar hour by hour, and, some people call it time blocking. I just call it setting myself up for success. That has been a real beast. And then probably going right along with that, my wife was a collegiate athlete, Division I. We had to do this move, and then we bought this house that was a gut job. So we had to live in a back bedroom of my in-laws for a little bit longer than expected. And I didn't slow down my morning mindset routine. And one day my wife goes, man, oh man, your morning routine it's insane. She used the term, it was world class. So through, 2020, 2021, having a real kick-ass morning, set your mindset routine, which is really part of my hour-by-hour breakdown. If somebody doesn't have that, they're really missing out. In fact, we're teaching that at the Department of Defense tomorrow. And then, of course, an equally good night routine. Everybody thinks about having a morning routine. And I go, well, what's a good morning look like for you? And they go, well, I have orange juice and a Danish, and, maybe my wife rubs my shoulders. And I go, hey, pal, never forget, a good morning always begins the night before. So you have to have an equally good bookended nighttime routine. But I guess that all boils down to, I guess some people refer to it as time blocking. Everybody's got to label everything they do. I just have good habits, I suppose.
What are some bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
This is one of my favorite topics. I got this guy that I coach. When I met this guy, his company was doing 75 million. And so I'm interviewing this guy, and I go, all right, well, how did you start out this place? And he goes, I got this girl pregnant, and I had to get a job. I didn't even graduate high school, and I got a job as a cable installer. And I showed up for my first day, and they go, boss is out back. He'll give you your assignment for the day. It was $25 per, assignment, paid. He goes, so I walk out there, and there's the owner of the company in blue jeans and cowboy boots, no shirt, smoking a doobie and drinking a beer, and hands me a sheet of paper and hands me this rickety old ladder. sends me on my way. He goes, this goes on for like 2 weeks. I'm earning a few bucks, there's hopefulness in my life. He goes, so one day though, I go to lunch with this coworker guy I had made friends with, and he goes, we really could do the same job, and we don't need this guy standing out back, smoking doobies, drinking beers, and handing us assignments. And we see how much he's getting paid, and he's, really not giving us our fair share. He goes, how about we each go buy our little van? We do a good job, and our motto is, we do a good job and we get invited back. That's it. That's the whole business plan. There's no HR department. There's nothing else. So I meet this guy when he goes from there, and he's at, it was 75 or 90 million. I want to say it was 90, but needless to say, he's now, he had a high attrition rate though. That's what I was helping him with. So now he's got this company at 225 million. It's just been a couple years since then. I keep urging this guy to write a book. And, I have the outline on my hard drive. I'm looking at it right now. And it says in real big bold, it doesn't follow a script, jackass. God, I get so sick of all of these people pretending like their system works for everyone else. To me, that's really, really, really bad advice. Like, I've studied extensively the life of Michael Jordan. I've studied extensively the life of Kobe Bryant. They had two completely 180 scripts. So while I think it's nice to share that information, you got to be so damn good at your job that you help people like make it work for them, no matter what variables get thrown that way. So these people that come on with their formulaic emails and all their scripts, I can't stand that crap. I think it's really bad advice. It doesn't follow a script at all. And once again, we're not wind-up monkeys.
Now we're about to get into your favorite part of the show where we talk about results. But first, I've got to ask you, are you picking up what we're laying down here? I hope so. That's why we do the show every week. And I want to ask you for a little bit of help. If there's someone out there that you think can benefit from this show, why not share it with them? Put it out there, hit the share button, use hashtag ResultsLeaderFM, and get it out there. Now let's jump back into the interview.
We're going to have to put that thing on the album cover. So let's talk about results. Why do results matter?
Well, I mean, look, like people ask me, I hear you're very good and I want to work with you. What exactly is it you do? Because I don't really give myself a title. I don't like titles. I go, well, hey, we're going to go through this process and we're going to figure out what your championship is in your life. That's it. Or it's your business, whatever that is. I do a lot of work with Chick-fil-A. Then they're like, all right, well, how are we going to do it? I go, well, now we need to figure out who the hell you need to become as a human being to make those results possible. And we're all, the biggest dream for all of us should be to reach our potential as human beings. So then these people go on this journey of reaching their potential as human beings. And it's amazing what they find is better than the result that they're looking for. They find their happiness. They find great love. They find this incredible zeal for life because the two items are connected. Those results matter because we're here to be happy. We're here to have love, and we are here to make a difference. So that's really what the results are symbolic of, those things occurring.
In the last 5 years, what new realization has helped you get better results for your clients?
Well, I mean, the big realization to me is just quite simply, I think it was Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. He talked about that idea of 10,000 hours to mastery. I think really just the big realization for me over the year, it's just, I mean, I put way more than 10,000 hours in, but it's just to me that enhanced level of just mastery and being able to meet people where they're at. And our process has improved for people to have, a crystal clear realization of what they really want. That's it. I know that's not a real shiny answer, but it all ties in back to me on that. Like just getting better at what we do, man. Like everything in life is practice, not like this or that. Everything in life is practice. And if we look at it that way, that everything in life is practice, and we have fun, then logically we're going to get better at it. And and that ties into getting better at relationships. And when you get better at relationships, you get better opportunities, because every opportunity in life, it comes from a relationship.
Let's talk about your business. What area of your business would you like to see better results?
When I grew my wellness company, it was all very, very organic. And by the time I had stepped away after 13 years to go work with this famous author down south, setting up a coaching leg of his company, I was just very pleased with the organic growth. I've always thought my wife might be prophetic, and I really didn't even want to take the job down there. I had two thriving businesses where you're at in Orlando, Pure Energy Wellness and Break Free Enterprises. I had an office over in Winter Park. Winter Park's a nice place. I mean, thriving. But she's like, your life is about impact. That's what makes you happiest, impact. And you need to go work with this guy, because I think you're going to just learn impact on a different level. So I went and I spent a couple years. I did my role there. I have a maverick personality type. I'm not meant to work for people. I did what I was there to do, got 45 five-star reviews. Then I broke back off on my own again to do my own thing with my wife and some others. We were having our team meeting last week. I don't say this lightly, by the way. I said, guys, I truly believe. I said, I think we have the greatest product that exists in the entire world. Literally the entire world. I mean, yeah, I got quite a bit of social proof to prove it. I mean, they don't let you in the Department of Defense if you're trash. They love it. I mean, we got invited back too, by the way, so we know what we're doing. I'm with like 20 different Chick-fil-A's coaching them. They're all super pleased. It's helped in all the metrics. And I said, guys, I believe we have the greatest product that exists in the entire world. I have a visionary persona. Probably we lack a little bit in the implementer department of getting this into more homes. And it has nothing to do. We had a doctor join our team. He looked under the hood, and he calls me one Sunday and he goes, "Wow, man, you and your wife build a hell of an infrastructure there." I said, "Oh, thanks. We're just doing what we do, having fun." And he goes, "John, that's a $100 million company all day long." And I said, "Oh, that's nice. I'm still going to work my 30 hours a week. I'm happy." I mean, if you have happiness and love, really, what more is there? And we have a nice life. But I kept thinking in my back of my wife's head about the whole impact. So then we bring him on. He further looks under the hood. Great human being. He goes, "John, I want to revise what I said." And I said, "All right, what do you want to revise it to?" He goes, "I think it's $1 billion company. It's just outstanding." And I think it's probably true. But once again, I said to him, da 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 da. I'm going to keep doing what I'm going to do. I mean, once again, if you look at where we're at spectrum wise, if Jesus himself had said when I started this thing, "Oh, you'll be in the Department of Defense and you'll be doing vast amount of works with Chick-fil-A's and tech companies, and I work with a nationwide mortgage company that went from 134 million to 290 million under my tutelage without ever talking about how to be a better salesman. I work with Audi." I would have said, "Oh man, yeah, sure. But then here we are. So then I'm watching some program with my wife called We Work. It was started out watching the documentary, and then there's a program on Apple TV on it. This guy, had this idea to kind of reinvent workspaces, and he really didn't know what the hell he was doing business wise, which I don't see that as a bad thing, anyways. Like, great idea. But, they were losing, I think it was like $2 million a day. So he starts, charismatic guy. So he starts reaching out to everybody. This Japanese hedge fund guy ends up, in his office. And I think he was actually Korean, but he was raised in Japan. He says, give me your pitch, Jason, or Adam. And Adam pulls out his, iPad, and he goes, "I'm Massasan, I I don't look at stupid pitch decks on iPads, which I think those things are stupid too, by the way. Like our mouths are better. So Massason invites him onto his jet and says, I really like you. You're charismatic. I invest in people. And he asks Adam Newman, who wins in a fight between a crazy man and a smart man? And Newman says, well, of course, a crazy man wins in a fight because he's got no limitations. He's got nothing to lose. It was a couple other lines too, and watch it yourself. And Massason goes, well, I believe in you, but you're not crazy enough. And strokes him a check for $4.4 billion to scale this thing out literally all over the world. And they really wanted to have like fun places to work. So I'm watching that with my wife. Her love language is quality time. And somehow in her mind, that's watching a show together. I don't even usually pay that much attention, but this one caught my eye and I'm like, I think I'm watching this one for a reason. But I think, I probably need to get somebody. And I think Cliff's the guy, but he had grown his doctor's office into 5. He wanted doctor's offices to feel like Disney Worlds. And I was coaching him myself on the scalability of it. And he had given away a little bit too much power. And then he's like, we had like a bromance and then we brought him on and he's just not fully all the way in yet because he's still selling off his old practices and he might be the guy to do it. But I'm probably not the guy to do that. But my passion in our product, I work with this recent Chick-fil-A exec. She goes, I had 10 executive coaches in my life. She goes, and I don't ask people for this stuff. She goes, I just want to tell you, this curriculum that you and your wife have built, she goes, not a single one of those other coaches was like 1/1,000,000th of what you are and what you've created. She goes, this shit gets to the core of like why humans are human. And I never seen anything like it. They're actually lobbying me to speak at the Chick-fil-A National Conference next year. And in the event that happens, that number becomes really real. Probably don't need to wait for that either because our product is 1 billion times better than WeWork ever thought about being. And it's an invitation. I work with this HVAC company guy. The owner reached out and goes, we got this guy. We want to bring him in. He doesn't really want to talk to you, but we're basically telling him he has to. So I always knew this in the back of my mind, meeting with this guy. So about 2 months in, guy's never missed an appointment. He goes, wow, man, I love meeting with you. I go, oh, yeah, well, your owner told me that you really didn't want to. He goes, I thought you were going to come in here and tell me what to do. You've never once told me what to do. You get me to look deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper inside myself than I ever would have comprehended. He goes, in fact, I tell people I work with a business therapist. That's what I consider you. And I go, oh, that's kind of a cute title.
There you go. There's the title. Right back to the beginning. So any parting thoughts you want to share with the results leaders who are listening to us right now?
Yeah, like legit, if you're not all in on becoming who you're created to be, you're missing the most important thing. You got to do something giant every day that gets you out of your comfort zone like crazy, because that's the place where you find all of the answers to life's questions. You get all these leaders, man, they can't even get their own potential out of themselves. And they're like, oh, I don't know why my company's not going so well. And I go, well, are you reaching your full potential? No. Oh, well, then what makes you oddly think you can pull the potential out of anyone else then? Because if you really were able to do that, it seems logical you might be doing that shit yourself. And they're like, whoa, man, kind of harsh at times. I go, well, it's true. If you can't lead yourself, you're going to be an ineffective leader to a certain extent. That doesn't mean any of us have to be perfect. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So there's no question that people are going to want more from you. Where can they go?
Yeah, our website is www.dreamleaderinstitute.com. Of course, they can find me on LinkedIn. It's the only social I'm on. I always, when I started my wellness facility, I always wanted it to be a cheers bar of wellness facilities where everyone knew each other's names and there was great intimacy. There has to be great intimacy. And like I said to Cliff, we might become that company, but I'm never going to miss out on the intimacy I have with the people I have. It's what I'm good at. So like, I'm always happy to have a conversation with people. And like I said, I don't have a sales pitch. I just go, hey, I don't make people sign lengthy contracts. I said, just give it a shot. If the ROI is not tenfold in a month, you can fire me, and I got no problem with that. But nobody ever seems to fire me.
I love it, man. So it's good speaking with you, Jonathan Dunn. And thank you, results leaders, for tuning in. That is a wrap. That is a wrap for another edition of resultsleader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to resultsleader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard. We'll catch you on the next one.
This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.